why is the sister who's got her own she less attractive? What's happening there in the man's mind?
I think you put it very well yourself when you said that there are, in pursuing career and pursuing that professional success and education, you have to develop certain kinds of traits of competitiveness, traits of lack of agreeableness, traits of being very assertive, in certain aggressive, competitive. Like those are things that's the main problem personality wise. And then also there's just
And this is absolutely right. If you want to progress, indeed, in most areas of life, to be honest with you, you're going to have to hone a certain level of disagreeableness. There is a direct correlation between disagreeableness and success in your particular endeavor. Disagreeable in the sense of not being argumentative for the sake of it, but knowing when to say no, knowing when to draw the line, and knowing when to provide pushback. And these are typically masculine qualities. And providing, what I mean by providing pushback is providing pushback in the face of doors closing on you, or in the face of people not being as cooperative as you would like them to be, and just literally forcing the issue. These are quite masculine qualities. The problem when a woman, exactly as our brother Daniel Haqiqatu has just mentioned, enters the workplace or tries to become successful in her career, business, whatever the case may be, is that it is impossible for her to achieve any meaningful level of success without her first honing her disagreeable side. So she learns to become disagreeable, and she learns to provide pushback and push and push and push, because how else is she going to get what she needs, where she needs to go in the workplace or in her business or in her career? The problem is when she comes home now, you can't just switch that button off. It doesn't just switch off. How you are during the day is most likely how you are going to be during the evening. And it's like, unless you've got some form of bipolar or schizophrenia and you've got multiple personalities going on, it's going to be extremely difficult for you as a woman to switch off that disagreeable side and suddenly become submissive and cooperative and agreeable, just like that.
Men naturally feel uneasy about their wife or potential wife mixing a lot with men and being in an environment surrounded by other men. So a professional career woman who is successful in the kind of material sense of success, she has to be around a lot of men and working very closely with other men. And that is a kind of a turnoff, just viscerally for brothers in general. So I think those are the two factors. Like if somehow the wife is, his wife is making a lot of bank, making a lot of money, just whether it's from career or just inheritance, like she's from like a really wealthy family and there's money coming in. I think most guys are very okay with that and might see that as a huge positive, actually. But it's these other things that are associated with that increased wealth or career success or education. Those are the hang-ups, not necessarily the success or the financials by themselves.
I mean, the problem with marrying a wealthier woman, even if she has, let's say she's inherited her wealth, so she hasn't earned her wealth through becoming successful in her career. And by extension, we can assume in this hypothetical example that she is still feminine and agreeable to an extent because she hasn't been sharpened and hardened in the workplace. Still, however, and Daniel, our brother Daniel is about to touch upon this, is that she could still lord this over you. And who can blame her? If she is the one who is offering or bringing a majority stake to the maintenance of the household and to the table in general from a fiscal perspective, it's difficult for a lot of women, Muslim or not, to look past that simply because of her hypergamous nature. I'm going to let the clip continue because Brother Daniel's family makes a very good point in a moment.
Actually, let me ask you a question, Daniel, if you don't mind. Naima, I want to just kind of ask about one of these points. So basically, you're saying it's not the money itself, but in my mind, but I'm not a guy, so you can answer this. If she is bringing in money, if she is a fellow provider, or even the sole provider or the primary provider, doesn't that kind of usurp the man's role a little or partially? And in my mind, again, as a woman, so I wouldn't know 100%, but it seems like there are roles. As you mentioned, Sister Naima, we have these roles, and they're not just only in Islam, they're also just in our fitrah, right? They're just human beings in general have these tendencies. The man is the provider, the protector, the leader. He kind of like leads the ship, right? And then the woman is not like the slave. She's like, oh, shut up, don't say anything, woman. No, she gives her advice. It's like the president and the VP, right? The VP will have a lot to say and have a lot of advice to give, but the president is kind of at the helm, right? So, but that's his natural role. And then her natural role is not to be those things, because you can't have two of those things, two providers, two protectors, two leaders. That doesn't make sense. So if she's bringing in money, even if she's not mixing with guys, or even if she's not, doing all those things, but doesn't that kind of take away a little bit from his role and creates kind of this uneasy tension in the relationship? Like, who's the provider here? Near you?
I think it has to be very clear. Like, it has to be very clear who is the provider, because just because you have a wife has money, however that's being acquired, that doesn't mean she's the provider. Like, he ultimately, at the end of the day, has to bring in money for cost of living, for food, for clothing. And I think all men should really own that, because that is Islamically what they are required to do, regardless of your wife's wealth. And as men, we should be aspiring to be better and better in both when it comes to dunya and when it comes to deen. There's no question about what Islam is pushing for men. Islam wants men to be competitive, and that's a big part of it. But it could be a problem if, a wife wants to use that. Like, again, this goes back to competitiveness. If she wants to hold it over his head and kind of lord it over him, like, oh, look at how much, I spent money on this and that, and then that definitely is going to cause a lot of problems.
Like, she'll have contempt for him, or contempt for him.
Yeah, she'll have contempt. He'll have contempt. So there are potential problems, but I don't want to say that it's inherently not going to work, because there are examples of very successful marriages, Muslim marriages, where the woman is more successful, or for whatever reason she has more wealth, and it was a very successful marriage because both sides are mature and they recognize that this is money, but there are more significant, more important things for our love for each other and for our relationship.
Indeed. I mean, hypergamy is multifaceted. So the financial element, it does represent one important element for sure. But if if your wife sees you as her best option, or her best bet, or at least it satisfies her hypergamous nature on the other elements of hypergamy that are important to her, then maybe this can be the first element. The financial element can be overlooked to a degree, to a point. For example, she thinks you're very good looking. For example, you're in great physical shape. For example, you have some type of social status, be it online or in the community. For example, you are excelling in your career. Hypergamy is not just restricted to finances, although it is one very important option. If you do excel in other areas, then maybe, and of course your game for that matter as well, your ability to maintain her interest in you over the long run, because you would have all heard of examples of broke guys who've got an endless line of women behind them. Why? Their game is just so elite level game, that these women are happy to line up knowing that this guy ain't got no money for them. So maybe it can work. However, I will say this, and Brother Daniel's family makes an excellent point. I want you to imagine, okay, we're in the cave, the Stone Age, caveman. You're a caveman and you're going out to hunt for a woolly mammoth. All right. You and the boys, you and the lads, you're going to hunt for a woolly mammoth so that you can provide for your family and the rest of the village. Okay. You spend the whole day hunting, climbing over trees, under bushes, waiting, sweating. You're hungry, you're tired, thirsty. Finally, you spot dinner. This big woolly mammoth that's going to feed the village for a month. And you and your boys do your thing. You throw your spears and you cut its throat. And lo and behold, you have yourselves a woolly mammoth. You chop off your portion. You take your haqq, your right, what belongs to you and your family. And you look forward to going home to your family, to your wife and to your children, and to present them with this beautiful woolly mammoth that you have spent your whole day hunting for. And remember, men earn money, acquire possessions so that we can give it to women. This is a complete fact of life. We earn and acquire so that we can give it to women. We want to give innately. Innately, a man wants to give to a woman and the children he has from her as well. Okay? So you've worked so hard. You look forward to taking this mammoth home to your wife and kids. You get home. You've got your little portion of mammoth on your back in your little Stone Age rucksack. You rock up to the stone cave and your wife sees you. And she's got a smile on her face and she's happy to meet you. And you're like, hello, Habibti, stone wife Habibti, how are you? I've got ourselves our woolly mammoth dinner tonight. That will last us for the next month. And she turns around and says to you, oh no, don't worry, my stone age Habibi. I've already got 6 woolly mammoths. Thanks for your efforts. But I've got loads already. Me and the kids are fine. But that's a nice little bonus. In fact, maybe you can eat it. You can have that. But we're already sorted, Habibi. Don't worry about that. How do you feel? How do you feel? Redundant. Useless. Redundant. There's no better word for it. Like you have no use. And I'm not saying, don't mistake this now, I'm not saying the only function a man has is to provide for a woman. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that it's an extremely important function and one that a man prides himself on. This is why men, generally speaking, marry across and down dominance hierarchies. We acquire wealth and possessions so that we can give it away to those women who will appreciate it. It will take an exceptional woman to appreciate wealth and possessions that you are giving to her when she is a woman who already has more and better than what you have to offer her. That takes quite an exceptional woman to be able to truly appreciate that and to not rub it in your face that you're not bringing more to the table than what she is. If you found value in the video, let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you like it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, hit the subscribe button. Share this with someone whom you think could benefit from. And if you want to watch another Daniel Haqiqatu video that I reacted to, you can check it right there. I reacted to Daniel just recently. Another one of his videos, an excellent video of his. And I also had a podcast with Daniel a few months back that you can see right there.